Well, let's kind of move out of community now and think about kind of expansion, and particularly expansion outside of geographical boundaries or channels that a retailer may be selling in today. So I'd like to kind of two parts. One, I'd like to ask the panel about international expansion. Kind of how does a retailer in the fashion industry think about selling internationally? What are the benefits? What are the challenges? So Tim, would you like to start with that question?
Sure. It's it's kind of a nightmare to do it. Don't do it. No.
Okay.
No, it's just we were one of the first platforms to partner with Alibaba a few months ago, and actually we have a team traveling back and forth into China from our Sydney office, and we are talking with them a lot about how sellers in China can distribute their goods more effectively through the curated lens of US SMBs via more like drop shipping, kind of buy in bulk models, giving the retailers control over the experience and branding, positioning, and marketing and merchandising of those items from China, and then vice versa, helping US retailers sell into China. And there's all these really fascinating use cases that you get into is with respect to, just payments and devices and fulfillment methods. But obviously, it's the same kind of rules apply as interstate shipping, where you're going to have to just consider margins and what selection of your catalog do you sell into this market, paying attention to local laws and such. It's been nice to be at a multi-tenant SaaS platform company during this, because we can think about a lot of these use cases for the benefit of the merchants. Mm-hmm. It's very, very tough to do this with your own software because everything costs you a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But there's been some fascinating companies out there that are helping retailers sell internationally. There's a company that they are coincidentally the largest Magento seller into China and the largest Hybris seller into China. So they find Western brands who want to sell into China, and Hybris, or everybody will charge them like $1 million for a localization pack. And so they said, well, let me sell you a Magento Enterprise license for like 20 grand and a few servers, and we'll sell into China. You'll get product market fit, get your templates all right, and then when you want to plug it back into all your ERP systems and everything, I'll sell you Hybris back. So it's this fascinating exchange that they have going on. And there's even interesting rules about how, I think it was a Burberry technology executive in Europe who figured out that hosting costs were very expensive in China for for Western retailers, because all of a sudden electricity in a whole province will just like go down for 5 hours, but you're still paying for hosting capacity. Mm-hmm. So he wrote this ability to predict, like, know exactly on near real time when a province was going down, and to throttle down your hosting costs and then throttle back up when it goes live. And he's saving, like, this Burberry tech person is like the innovator of tech sustainability for US retailers in wow. China. So there's all these fascinating little use cases. Or when 2-day shipping started to really take off in Brazil after events like World Cup and Olympics, because all the infrastructure is done on the roads, so you get faster shipping in the metropolitan areas. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't have any answers for this. I just have all these interesting observations around all the cool experimentation. But yeah. I mean, we all know that with 1 to 1.5 billion people coming online for the first time in the next 4.5 years, and over half of that growth coming from emerging markets, and with shopping being a fundamental use case of the internet, it's something that retailers will definitely want to figure out, and mm-hmm. there's going to be startups we haven't dreamed of helping to solve this problem. We just moved out of our office at First and Folsom, and Flexport moved in, and they have this really nice way of making it easy to source goods from China and get through all the red tape. Mm-hmm. These guys didn't exist a couple of years ago, mm-hmm. and now they're just really doing a splendid job. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
That's great. What about the other? So importing, sourcing from China or other parts of the world is obviously one part of one use case, and the other is selling your products, let's say, into Europe from the US, or into Russia, into Australia. And I think I've certainly heard from fashion retailers that kind of the reverse seasonality can be very useful, right? So you get to the end of your season here, and then you can take all your overstock, and instead of selling it at $1 a pallet, you can sell it into the Australian market where that season's just starting. You see some of, you must get a kind of lot of visibility, Robert,
Sure,
into
so
the movement of goods around the world.
Definitely. So
yeah.
the cases we see are folks that are using fulfillment services in those other countries. So whether they're using fulfillment by Amazon or Shipwire or those types of tools, and they're doing just what you said. They're, instead of marking down and selling by the pound, they're shipping out, and they can dip their toe in the water. So it's they do have to watch their margins because some of those services are pretty expensive, but it's a good way for them to experiment with the country and see what's gonna work there, keep their shipping costs down as far as the final piece maybe, and then make a decision. That we see that all the time where they'll start with one of those services and then start over time of a year ticking off, going direct, finding their own warehouse space.
Right.
It's definitely a valid way for them to do it.
Is there certain countries that you see kind of people start always
definitely
in the same place?
No, UK and Australia are by far the first. The language barrier is that's a hurdle they don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
There's enough of an e-com market there and UK obviously can hit most of the rest of Europe fairly easily from there as well. So.
Yeah, hack is sometimes selling in a marketplace, and you pick a market like Brazil or Australia or wherever, and you start generating demand via marketplace and learn a lot about the shipping rules, merchandising rules, et cetera, and then launch your own localized presence there and really just start to spin that plate and then move on to the next one. Sort of moving from the bazaar into your own boutique, if you will.
That makes sense.
That's kind of what's happening in China, isn't it? With Alibaba's Taobao. They have their marketplaces very similar to eBay or Amazon. And I think a lot of fashion, because China's obviously a big market, but they're starting with those platforms, those marketplaces, and then eventually they may end up moving to their own e-commerce website, or commerce, or even retail stores after they test that market.
Yeah.
So to the hack, there's definitely hacks where you test it
way,
first.
Right? It's kind of like, I've heard people describe eBay and Amazon as they're kind of training wheels for selling, right? So that you don't have to kind of worry about generating the demand. The demand's there. You just got to worry about how to ship your product into that country, import duty, customs, all of that good stuff. So it kind of takes half of it off your plate. You can focus on the other half, and then when you've got that worked out, you can go all in. And I think the other interesting thing is, particularly with independent retailers, that the products you're selling often are, they're not by definition mainstream commoditized products, right? And you may not be able to get them from any other retailer in that country. So you're not going in there competing on price. You're going in with what is a hard to get hold of product, and you can increase your prices as a result and get that margin that that you have to have in order to pay for the shipping costs and the duties, etc. So there's I think it's and starting with the English-speaking countries is obviously the easiest way, although it's still not a walk in the park.